Hello to all my swans out there. My name is EJ and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to have quite the journey. This is going to be a jam-packed video, so make sure you have your snacks, make sure you're subscribed, give me that thumbs up, because we have a lot to get into as we dive into the first two episodes of Feud, Capote versus the Swans. All my Ryan Murphy people out there, we are back with a new season of Feud, even though Ryan Murphy isn't really attached to this. You know, it's his show, he created it, but he's not serving as the director, and boy, what a difference Gus Van Sant has made onto any of these FX Ryan Murphy productions. This was such, sleekly directed, wonderfully directed. It's just jam-packed with crazy monologues, intense dialogue between two people. This is exactly the type of work an actor's like, oh my goodness, I'm going to be getting Emmy nominations from just the high value of this. It's very, it's not too campy. I wouldn't say that's the word. It's very high melodrama, which lends itself a little bit to camp, but this show is played fairly serious, and this is talking about a lot of interesting conversations. We have the conversation of Truman Capote being this outlandish gay man in this time period where that wasn't really acceptable, and then his bonds with the Swans. But what happens when someone maybe are gay people misogynistic? Because boy, he truly uses the Swans to his advantage, and is that okay to do? There's a lot of conversations that were had in the first two episodes, and I very much enjoyed it. I don't know much about this story. I'm kind of going in pretty blind. I know who Truman Capote is. I've know some of the Swans, I've heard some of their names, but this isn't in my wheelhouse. This isn't like I was with Feud, where it was just like, oh wow, if you're a film fan, you know the Joan Crawford, Bette Davis story. Here, this is new ground for me, so I'm learning a lot of things. I tried to not spoil myself with what's going to happen, but I went on some of these Wikipedia pages and I'm like, wow, Happy Rockefeller, you're pretty crazy. Or the Anne Woodward character. There's just some really interesting figures that I don't know because, they're the socialites. They're not movie stars. They're not these kind of grand dam divas that we know, as much as they are divas, but not in the way that we usually think. So I loved getting to know these characters, the Swans, these housewives, basically. This is giving me truly Andy Cohen, the Housewives, BravoCon realness. It's a lot. This is a lot of a lot. It's jam-packed. The episodes kind of threw around different time periods. It's I don't want to say a slog to get through, but you're introduced to a lot of people. It is a lot of people talking, just a lot of sit down. Trigger warning for you people trying to get rid of smoking habits, because there's a lot of cigarette smoking, a lot of talking at dinner tables, and a lot of shade and barbs being thrown at people. That's exactly what this is, and I like it. I really enjoyed these first two episodes. Strongly written, hell of a director with Gus Van Sant. I mean, My Own Private Idaho, one of my favorite movies that's ever existed. Goodness, I'm so happy he's here blessing us with his work. Other directors are going to be coming in, but what Gus Van Sant did with these two episodes made this season of Feud, to me, one of the must-watch shows of this year. As the episode begins, we do meet Truman Capote in the 80s, but we really focus on the 60s. We're getting to know his relationships with Babe Paley. She is played by Naomi Watts. Naomi Watts is in contention already for an Emmy, for a Golden Globe, EGOT for this performance. I love Naomi Watts in these first two episodes. Such great, brilliant work. And yeah, so we're seeing the relationships. Babe and him are, close. Truman is kind of this infamous scandal of a man. He talks a lot, he gossips a lot, but when he's invited to a dinner with Babe's husband, played by Treat Williams, I like me some Treat Williams. He's great too. Tom Hollander as Truman Capote. Really, really good work. So yeah, we're introduced to these characters, and we're starting to know who Capote is. We're seeing how good he is playing a room, gossiping, talking a little bit of trash, especially at a dinner party where he brings up Anne Woodward, played by Demi Moore. Criminally underused in these first two episodes. I could have had just whole ass episodes with her, which maybe we will, since we are definitely jumping around in time. So yeah, we're getting to know Capote, and he tells this kind of outlandish story of Anne, oh, she murdered her husband. Oh, but we heard this. No, here's the real tea. And he's just kind of flippantly telling the story, and people are laughing it off, and it's cruel, but it seems to be, again, how rich people work, how shady businessy people work. This doesn't seem shocking. These kind of stories just seem like they would be passed around with a couple cigarettes. And then, there's a really nice quiet moment with Babe and Capote getting to talk, getting to know each other. And I'm like, ooh, there's you can see that there's an actual bond. So when he does write that thing in the Enquirer later, you're truly like, yikes, bro, she liked you. And, she told you about the bells in her dress. No, again, Naomi Watts just speaking. I could just watch it forever. She's so good in this. So we're seeing how Capote is in the Swan aspect. But somehow in his personal life, he's even messier. As we jump around in time, we're in the 70s now. We meet Truman Capote's partner, played by Joe Manganiello. He is Jack, I believe his name is, or John. Jack, yes, because I think John is the other one. Capote's love life is in shambles because he's in this kind of dead-end relationship with Joe Manganiello's character. So he goes to the bathhouses, and who do you run into at a bathhouse? Of course, it's Russell Tovey. Where else would that boy be? I like me as a Russell Tovey, but I'm like, oh, are you playing a problematic thought in a show? Russell, that you're good at it. So yeah, he starts kind of being Capote's manager, and he's not really fitting into the world that Capote's built. It's very posh, and he's not that. So that first dinner, it's kind of weird meeting of worlds. We also have Anne show up to a dinner and be like, you're a bitch, I hate you, you're talking trash, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, snap. Like, okay. He's paying for his sins already, but everyone kind of brushes her off, maybe defends Capote a little bit because, again, they're not in the line of fire. But, he's kind of, he doesn't really fit into their world. He's kind of a leech to these rich women, and what's his name? Oh, let me look at my notes. Hold on. John is Russell Tovey's character, John, who becomes Capote's manager. Begrudgingly, the girls like CZ, who is Chloë Sevigny's character, and we meet Slim, who is Diane Lane, another eating actress, just devouring everything's here. So yeah, these girls are like, ooh, John's a hot mess, and he's like, no, it's fine. John is a hot mess because he's the one who tells Capote, write about the Swans. Oh, you're having writer's block. You haven't been able to do anything great. You have the Anne Woodward story, but you need more. So that's his more. He starts to talk about the Swans. His other partner, Jack's like, baby, this is going to, you're shaking the table, and this table is keeping you fed. Watch what you're doing. But Capote's a drunk and a hot mess, but also listening to the new boy. So he decides to publish this very outlandish article, and it bites him in the ass very quickly. Episode 1 ends with Capote publishing this scathing piece where he's letting things know about the girls, and everyone's reading about it. We're seeing, like, Bill Paley be like, yo, you're gay. Your gay's talking about it. And Babe's like, yeah. She's so conflicted until Anne commits suicide. Like, she just cannot handle the backlash of everything Capote's done. And, now the Swans are like, we might need to come together because this is too much. Episode 2 begins with the fallout of what happened with the story being published, and the Swans are in full, revenge mode. They go to the funeral of Anne. It's a mess because her son is calling him out. I've read up about Anne's children, and they both suffered similar fates to their mother, so that's very depressing. The kind of what Capote did here, and I don't think he realizes the weight of it. And the women have conversations of are gay men misogynistic? They look at us as a prop, maybe, but they're also looking him as the they call him a homosexual jester, he's kind of a court jester. So the dynamics between Capote and the Swans are weird. It's very parasitic. It's very, they're both taking something from each other, and they both don't really respect each other, but they do. It's complicated, and I really love these conversations, and I love that each one of the Swans are handling it different. It seems like we meet a new one who is, it's CZ, it's Lee. Lee is played by Calista Flockhart, another great addition to the show. The women on this series are so great. So we have Lee and Slim, don't want to deal with Capote. He's a hot mess. And then we have CZ, and we have Babe basically being like, but Babe's she's in the hardest position. We're seeing Naomi Watts' Babe deal with getting sick. She has cancer. She longed for her husband's interaction, so that's why she turned to Capote. But now her husband's being nicer, and connecting with her more that she's sick. It sucks that it takes a man losing his wife to reel himself back in, but that's what happens. That's how these kind of menses work. that, again, the parasitic idea of men in this series. Like, the Swans aren't the greatest people ever, but the men around them are really causing so much issues, not really making the women fight against each other, at least yet. We're not there yet because we're really seeing Babe and CZ struggle. CZ goes out to lunch with Capote. Slim calls her out for it. There is this whole Thanksgiving stuff. Oh, Thanksgiving. Capote's like, that's my favorite holiday. I want to go to CZ's Thanksgiving. The Swans don't want him there, so he has to figure out somewhere else to go. He goes to deal with Molly Ringwald's Carson. I don't know her name. She is Johnny Carson's ex-wife, who is really, really close with Capote's character. She invites Russell Tovey over. He's already beating up on Capote because Capote, I'm not saying DV, domestic violence, is acceptable. But Capote talked a lot of trash that I'm kind of glad John smacked that boy a little bit because he's drunk and he's talking about your family. No, no, no. It would have been handled as well like John did, but he did it at the party, which is only going to make him look crazy. You know, Jack's basically trying to get Slim or trying to get Babe back into the Capote world, and she's using him getting beat up by John as sympathy. And, you know, the Swans are like, girl, you cannot do it. He is trouble. And the Swans are torn apart. I hope they come together, and I hope we don't see them fight. But it's interesting that Capote and the different stances all the women have on the situation. There are moments, though, that I feel like we're spending too much time with Jack and John and Jimmy Bob and all the dudes. I don't want to see scenes with Treat Williams and the men. I don't care about John's children. Give me the Swans. I feel like every time we deviated away from the women, I was just like, get me back to somebody. Even Molly Ringwald, when she showed up, I was happy. I was like, okay, but give me back to the women. And the star of this episode for me, the real grandam diva, is here. Jessica Lange shows up. She's playing Truman Capote's ghost mother, who is evil and manipulative. But there's an interesting thing because we're hearing her kind of in Capote's drunken mess phase is basically being like, you know, talking to his mother, and she's saying like, I'm glad you're doing this to get revenge on the Swans, on the socialites who never let me in. So we see he has a slight revenge plot. We see why he's doing it. We're also seeing her try to be like, come see your mother in the afterlife, join me down here, you're gonna need mother's guidance. Jessica Lange showed up for about 15 minutes, and I was just like, I need her on my screen again. I miss Jessica Lange so much. I don't need her to return to a Ryan Murphy project all the time. Give me another Cape Fear. Give me another Tootsie. I don't know. I just need Jessica Lange to be back. And just this little taste of her, I feel like she's going to be a ghostly presence throughout. I hope she is. But my goodness, what a small but evil but impactful moment that this was with Capote and his mother. So episode 2 finishes with Babe going through treatment, but reflecting on where she's at and where she will head with her relationship with Capote. Will she kind of turn against the Swans a little bit to build back a friendship that she really trusts? Will Capote ruin that trust? We're at a really good spot with episode 2 because I'm interested where we're going to go. I'm hungry for more. I want to meet more characters. Give me more classic Hollywood. Give me more of this world I never knew. I've been going down Wikipedia hunts, watching YouTube videos about this world and this culture, and it's really fun. I never saw the Capote movie that I think Philip Seymour Hoffman was in. I mean, one of our greatest actors. I will probably go back and watch that now because I love Philip Seymour. And the Capote character, I mean, Tom Hollander's performance, the voice is Capote from what I've gathered. It's not my favorite. He feels like the most character out of everyone. Everyone feels like a real person. And Capote in this definitely feels like a cartoon character at times. I don't mind it because I feel like that's what Capote's essence was very outlandish in this kind of glamorous world. He was this kind of bright weirdness, this queerness, and I appreciate that. So it's an interesting role. I want more of this. I think this was a strong episode 1 and a very strong episode 2. Well, that is it for my review of Capote versus the Swans, at least the first 2 episodes. Join me on this journey as we get into the 8 episodes. I think we have 6 more episodes after this. We'll be doing it weekly. My reviews will be a bit closer to the release of the episodes. This was just 2, and then, life happens and all that jazz. But I'm so excited to go on this journey with you all. What did you think of the first 2 episodes? Who's your favorite Swan? Who's your favorite character? Did you all love that Jessica Lange moment? Share your thoughts down in the comments below. Make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. Give me a thumbs up. And if you are subscribed, thank you so much. Thank you for joining me. This year is going to be fun. I'm banging out videos. We're having a lot of new content, a lot of new stuff. Can't wait to get into it. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and let's talk about Feud Season 2 right down below.